Hey y'all, it's me, Rachel. We're gonna be talking about why I've still been MIA and stuff like that. If the cuckoo clock goes off, I apologize, and I apologize if you can hear my neighbors at all. They're just mad because they're getting kicked out. But it's what happens when you party on a Tuesday night and then a Wednesday night and Thursday night when people have to get up in the morning. This will be a new area for me. Don't have it set up at all yet, but you can see some artwork back there. Got my prints over there. My poster that I got for it's a limited edition poster done by a local tattoo artist I love. When Japan had a huge earthquake in the tsunami. So lots of stuff. This will all be fixed up eventually. I really want to talk about why I've been MIA lately, but kind of want to show off what I've got going on. I got a whole shelf to do. I got stuff to do. And this admirable fireplace. So yeah, this is going to be pretty cool. My husband actually was so sweet and kind to clean up this area, so now I actually have a setup like everybody else has, which would be wonderful. It's just a place for me to kind of do my own thing. So anyways, what did I want to talk to you guys about? Okay. Why have I been so MIA lately? Why have I not come back yet? That kind of stuff, you know? Because I know what? This is one of those things that most people wouldn't want to explain, and I completely understand why, because back in the day I probably would have felt the same way. But, it is what it is. You're going to judge me no matter what. Strangers, friends, everybody. Take me as I am. This is something that's a part of me. It makes me me. And I also feel like you guys deserve that explanation, you know? So I'm going to give it to you. Because it's nothing to be ashamed of, in my opinion. Not at all. So I'm not going to be. No. So if you haven't noticed, I've been very MIA. I've not been in live streams. I clearly haven't been uploading. Even though I promised I'll come back, I just haven't. I've caught up with a couple of videos and then I just slowed down again. What else? I just really haven't been anywhere. Any groups I'm in, not active. Although I did see Marley Paranormal West. I got your message last night. I was busy hanging out with my friends, my coworkers that I'm still working at my side job, by the way, and my real job. Yay! But let's get into why this is all happening. I want to explain something to you, and I hope that maybe, you won't let this make you really think any different of me, and if it does, hopefully in a better way. But, okay, so my name is Rachel. I have Bipolar Type 2 disorder, okay? I know some of you guys know that. I think most of you might know that, but yes, it is true. I have Bipolar Disorder Type 2. There's actually, I think, 4 total. As well as back in the day, you probably heard manic depressive disorder, illness, manic depression, stuff like that. They quit using that term in the 1980s in the DSM-5. It is called bipolar disorder. I don't really mind when people say it, but a lot of people do. But it is what it is. I understand what you're saying when you bring it up. But kind of a cool fact, they quit using that term in the 1980s. So with bipolar, and if you see me look down, I'm just kind of kept some notes and stuff. So bipolar disorder, if obviously it's a mental illness, it's a chronic mental illness that I'll have for the rest of my life. What happens with bipolar disorder is you experience unusual and sometimes drastic shifts in your mood, energy, stuff like that are out of proportion or unrelated, to my environment. Mood swings from extremely high, extremely high or irritable to sad and hopeless. So obviously bipolar being the poles. But I will say this, and I want to make this a big thing. We do go through periods, extended periods of time where we're completely stable. Not every mood that I have is a bipolar mood. Probably that's my biggest pet peeve ever is that, and even my husband's been guilty of this before. I told him from the get-go, I told him on our first date that I had bipolar disorder. And a lot of people are actually shocked when I tell them I have bipolar disorder. They don't see how. I'm a very smart woman, well-educated. I work hard. I don't seem like I would have a mental illness, but you'd be surprised how many people have mental illnesses. It's not an uncommon thing at all, believe it or not. But with bipolar disorder, and there's types, type 1, type 2, bipolar disorder, not otherwise specified, and then I always forget the one that starts with a C. But bipolar type 2, bipolar type 1, you normally get full-blown mania, and you get depression. Now with bipolar type 2, what we get instead of mania, we don't hit full-blown mania, we get something called hypomania. Hypomania is like a mild version of full-blown mania. It's very mild actually compared to full-blown mania. It doesn't last very long. Also, but we do hit depression, and we tend to hit depression and stay in it longer. So, and more women tend to be bipolar type 2, as men tend to be more bipolar type 1. Really, neither one is better or worse than the other. There's always that debate, which one's worse, or, type 1 or type 2. It's the dumbest argument. I hate that argument. It's useless. It can be hard, It truly is hard to have a mental illness of any kind, and I will speak from having bipolar disorder that, yeah, it can be hard. So maybe you got an idea of why I have been kind of, not around. I've been a little bit depressive, and I kind of wrote down a couple of things to let you guys know. Maybe just what's been going on, because like I said, I just feel bad that I promised that I would be back, and yet I have done nothing. I've done nothing. And I've missed you guys, and I feel so out of the loop, and I feel guilty. I feel like, I might as well just give up sometimes. And I'm slowly getting over that. I mean, really, the month of December was the worst, because what started it all was being sick all of December. And it got really bad towards the end. I got pneumonia. I was unable to leave my home, so I got really, really, just stir crazy, cabin fever. I didn't get to see my family at Christmas Eve, which is very saddening because my brother was there too, so... And that actually marked the 1-year anniversary since my grandfather passed away, which was my last grandparent that I had left. So that was kind of a feeling that, I felt and made me, a little teary-eyed. Since being sick, it completely messed up my schedule. I have no schedule. And the feeling of being like I have fallen behind, and I've gotten messages from you guys. And by the way, I apologize. I'm slowly getting back to messages, slowly but surely. Some of you probably noticed that. I'm getting there. It's definitely getting there. But the feeling of falling behind, everybody has said, just come back when you're ready. We'll be here waiting for you. Nobody's going to forget about you. And that, I believe that. I really do. But at the same time, I just feel so bad that, I'm just not there. I miss everybody. I legitimately miss you guys. Since December's ended and I've gotten better, I'm not sick anymore, clearly. Things have been finally going up. It's like I've been, going up a ladder, basically. And really having... One thing I'll say about bipolar disorder is having a support system is a definite. Any mental illness, actually. My family, my friends, and my husband, all of it. They are great. My husband is by far my rock. My friends have been so great lately with me, getting me out of the house just like last night. They, it's been fantastic. The other thing that's really got me kind of, slowly, instead of, being able to shoot back up from depression to normal stability, has been the fact also that I'm getting back into the swing of things. Life, work, being a wife, life, and still wanting to do the paranormal. Yeah, I'm gonna have time to do it, but it's getting used to doing all that again, adulting, it's really difficult sometimes. So that's been kind of a thing, and I've been so, being sick for so long, how you're kind of fatigued afterwards. Yeah, I've still kind of got that fatigue a little bit, but it's going away. And then on top of that, the winter storms that we've been having, and I'm hoping we don't have another one. I don't think we will, because last time, we've had 2 so far, I think, and the last time, it shut down I-45, which is a major interstate, the only interstate that's by us. Yeah, they shut that thing down, and for good reason, too. I do want to say something about bipolar disorder type 2, and this is nothing against anybody with bipolar disorder type 1. With bipolar disorder type 2, the reason they're different also, besides the mania thing, is we also do not suffer from psychotic, symptoms or like things like delusions or hallucinations, things like that. So that's something I kind of want to mention, because I know in a minute that something's going to come up. I take very, very well care of myself, to be honest with you. Oh yeah, there's no psychosis. That's what I should have said. There we go. Should have looked at my notes. Anyways, I do take very good care of myself. For one thing, I do see a psychiatrist every month. I see a therapist, which I love, because cognitive behavioral therapy has just been like a godsend. I showed signs of having bipolar disorder since probably like maybe 11, I'm going to say. And I also want to mention, it's no big deal, everybody knows, and everybody knows that I'm bipolar in my real life, for the most part. It's nothing I scream from the rooftops, but if it comes up in conversation, I'm not going to hide it. My mother has it, her sister has it, my grandmother did have it, and we suspect that my great-grandmother probably did. So it's something that seems to run real strong in the females in my family. And just because, I mean, you're more likely, I forget what the percentage is, I think you're like 50% more, you know, you got a 50% chance of, you know, getting bipolar disorder, or, you know what I'm saying, getting bipolar disorder as if it's like contagious. Bipolar disorder is for life though, but it is manageable, so I don't want anybody to think that this is some, you know, it's very manageable. It can be difficult, yes, and I admit that, but I don't let it define me. Now, you will find that I try not to say that I am bipolar. I try to avoid saying that because I don't, like I said, I don't like it to define my life. And I like to say that I have bipolar disorder. I think that sounds better because I am not my mental illness. I'm Rachel, and I just so happen to have a mental illness that makes me, me. So how different could I be without it? And, you know, what the heck is normal anyways? So yeah, like I said, I do get treatment. As far as medication, I'm not going to name names, but I am on a very little amount. I will say, please, if you have a mental illness or you suspect you have one, please go see a doctor immediately and, you know, follow their advice. I gotta say that much at least in this. And all I take is a mood stabilizer and a benzodiazepine. I use the benzo for because I do have anxiety a little bit sometimes, and it does help with the insomnia and the racing thoughts occasionally. I know it doesn't sound wonderful. Honestly, having bipolar disorder has been kind of, it's like a curse, but it's also a gift. It's really hard to explain why that is. But you know, as much as I sometimes, you know, especially when I'm depressed, I'm like, oh gosh, I wish I could be like everybody else. Sometimes I rethink it later and I'm like, I'm kind of happy I'm not like everybody else. But yeah, it just is what it is, you know. It is what it is. There's nothing different about my life. I have a normal life. I just have to live it a little differently. I have to be kind of proactive. So I exercise. I eat well. You know, like I mentioned, therapy, psychiatrist, take my medication. Okay, I'm real bad about keeping with my sleep schedule, but you know, that's one of those things. Another thing that has set me off too that I forgot to mention is the fact that the days are still shorter, and that's why I have things like this. But when I got sick, this is a light. It's a happy light. I think you can figure out what it probably does. It's to help beat the winter blues, and because seasonal, you know, seasonal depression is a real thing, and it does affect people with bipolar disorder. So I was using it consistently, but after I got sick, it was really hard to use it. So, but I will say it does work. The other thing too is you know, besides doing all that, you know, eating right, exercising, getting like 30 minutes a day of sunlight if I can, or at least using that light, staying active, keeping to a schedule, trying to stick to a sleep schedule, you know, keeping up with my friends, stuff like that. I also track my moods. I know y'all are probably going to hate this TMI, but I do track my menstrual cycles because as a woman that does affect things. And yeah, I mean, I do a lot, and I journal every day, and I use artistic outlets. You know, I have little hobbies that, you know, like scrapbooking, drawing, writing, a lot of writing, that I do quite often. So, you know, and it keeps me in check. I mean, I'm not going to tell you I'm perfect. I didn't get treatment until I was probably, I think I was like 22, 23. And I knew, my parents and myself, we knew what I had the whole entire time, but I felt ashamed, and I didn't want to end up, I felt like just a complete failure, and I saw, like, you know, it made my mom feel like a failure, and, you know, I know what it's like to be the caregiver and the patient, and watching my mom lay in bed because she refused to get help too, I mean, I don't know, it just all scared me, and I didn't want to go. But eventually I ended up having to cave, and I went and stayed, I will admit it, I mean, this is well known by any employer that I have, I don't lie about this stuff, not at all, I'm not ashamed. I went and I stayed in a place at a behavioral health facility for a few days, only 3, just to kind of, you know, make sure I got everything under control, get an idea, get a good doctor. Then I came back here, see my psychiatrist and got his opinion. So I got two opinions, and both came out the same. But yeah, it's a pretty cool booklet. It tells me what my triggers are, my positive response to triggers, negative response to triggers, what are my triggers. What is one of mine that I can name? Oh gosh, noisy neighbors, that would definitely be one of them. But anyways, yeah, I apologize completely. This is, I tend to isolate when I get depressed, and I try not to, but sometimes that just happens, and it's just been real hard December was the hardest. Like I said, January has been on the up and up, and I'm getting better. I actually feel better enough to start doing spirit box sessions, to be honest with you, but today I'm kind of busy with work and stuff, and I've been helping, three guys from my work get another job, so that's why I'm partially still there. And I want to show you guys this. I think it's so cool because we're still doing this, by the way. So then get this fixed. So yeah, I mean, I really do apologize. I have missed you guys way too much. I want to change the color. This is the coolest thing ever. I'll just let it go. So we are still going to be doing, I'm going to be doing the spirit box giveaway soon. Still. I know. It feels like I keep saying that and it's not happening. But hey, don't blame it on my bipolar disorder. No, I'm kidding. I never use bipolar disorder as an excuse for anything, because it's not an excuse. But, you know, I just at least wanted you guys to know, because I have lost friends in the past like this, and I hate it. It's absolutely bothersome to me, you know. It's something that I can't help sometimes. It's one of those things. And as far as telling you guys, I'm comfortable with it, and if you guys want to ask me any questions, feel free to. I know a lot of people are afraid to admit that they have a mental illness of any kind because they're afraid that either that's going to get used against you, also the fact that some people just, frankly, they don't understand. They don't get it. They have a misconception of what people with mental illnesses are like. You know, and I get that completely because, you know, if you don't have something, how would you know what it's like? You know, they don't experience, you know, like for me, you know, the people around me that don't have a mental illness, they don't know what it's like to experience bipolar disorder, so they don't understand what's going on with me. I get that. So I try to explain as best I can. I advocate a lot for mental illness just because, you know, not only do I have a mental illness, but my mom has the exact same one I do. And, you know, I advocate for caregivers, too, on top of that, because I feel we should be teaching caregivers more and more about how to handle, you know, especially with, like, especially spouses. You know, my husband does a fantastic job. I'm not that hard to deal with or anything. I keep everything in check. And as far as the paranormal, I do want to address this because I'm sure it's going to come up. Do I think that people with mental illnesses should be doing anything with the paranormal? I'm going to say that depends on the person and the severity of the mental illness. Are they treating it? Are they taking care of themselves? Do they seem of sound mind and body? Because if you see my session, a session of hypocrisy, I bring that up, that I don't believe in doing anything in the paranormal, which is why I haven't been, if you are not in a good mindset. I don't like that idea, so I avoid it, like the plague. That's why you haven't seen anything from me. And you can disagree with me on that, you really can. I know people that do disagree with me on that, and that's fine. We can still be friends. I'm still friends with those people that disagree with me. But if you have any questions for me, you know, let me know. And also on top of that, I do want to say, don't be ashamed if you yourself have a mental illness. Like, one of my favorite people to think of, they suspect it. I don't think they know for sure. Winston Churchill supposedly had bipolar disorder, which wouldn't surprise me. I read a lot about him. He's one of my idols. If I could bring him back from the dead, I would totally hang out with him for a day. But I think he'd probably yell at me. You know, but he's somebody who inspires me quite a bit. I've read books on him. Absolutely. You know, if I was British, I'd be super proud to be British, just completely just because of that guy. Love Winston Churchill. But supposedly he was bipolar, and that's okay, you know. There are a lot of successful bipolar people out there, and sometimes people with bipolar disorder have it so bad that they do have to go on disability, and that's not a bad thing either. So I don't think you should be ashamed. Whatever is going on in your life, however you have to handle, whether it be a mental illness, a chronic illness, of, you know, some other kind, like, you know, maybe fibromyalgia, lupus, stuff like that, don't be ashamed of who you are. All these things make you who you are. We're all weird, different, strange, eccentric, whatever. Normal is just, you know, normal is, I guess, what you make it. And to me, how I live my life is my normal. And I'm okay with that. And you should be okay with yourself, too. But enough of the, you know, after-school session, what is it, I can't even say it, after-school TV special. message right there. I love you guys. You'll see me again soon, and it's been great to be back. Don't you just love this thing? And I have my own spot. Oh, it comes up backwards. It's lame. I need to fix my camera. Anyways, bye guys.